Black attire, is it for the commiseration or for the content? Things before we get to this stage. But be that as it may, I see your cameras here. So I may have to say something. I don't want to say this is an ambush, but we didn't really plan to talk about this. Let me acknowledge your condolences and your support. In fact, since the accident happened on 6th of August, a number of your organizations, your media networks, many of them have reached out to us as an institution and as individuals, sending your words of sympathy and assuring us of your support and your prayers. We thank you for that. We also want to thank those of you who have used your platforms to really manage the incident such that it has accorded the due respect that our fallen heroes deserve. Losing 2 cabinet ministers, 3 government officials at the highest level, and an air crew of 3 on a single day is not a very good news at all. In fact, for the past week, the entire armed forces have been in a state of mourning. And we wish that this had not happened. We had a very vibrant Minister for Defense who had plans to transform the Ghana Armed Forces. Together with the Military High Command, we had strategized and we knew that we were going to unfold something new for the armed forces that belongs to all of us as a country. But as nature will have it, as the saying goes, death lays its icy hands on kings. So that is what we experienced. Let me address the first concern as to the fact that we have not been very proactive in terms of our communication. Investigations into aircraft accidents of this nature takes time. Probably for what you were referring to, when incidents like this happen, the initial communication that comes up has to do with the passengers and where their relatives must go to seek for information. But the initial communication cannot delve into the accident. In our case, we were very sure of who was on board. Their relatives had been contacted. And so that aspect of updating the family was not an issue for us. In terms of the recovery exercise itself, this is one of the fastest recovery exercises involving helicopter in our country. The last time that we had a similar incident in the Chiwa forest, it took us 3 days to get to the accident scene. In our case, when we suspected that something might have happened to the aircraft, it took us additional 30 minutes for us to apply the known protocols to see where the aircraft was. Because once an aircraft loses communication, it doesn't mean that it has crashed. It could be flying very low, out of radar. It could be weather condition, or it could be mechanical. So after 30 minutes, once we realized that we were still not making progress, then we initiated what we call the rescue efforts because we still didn't know whether there were casualties. But subsequently, based on information we got from some of the locals around that area, we had to change that rescue effort to a recovery effort. So the closest military post at that time was the team that had gone to secure the helipad to receive the team, to receive the helicopter. And they were as far as Obuasi. It took them some time to get to the scene. By that time, the locals who were at the scene had already started interfering with the crime scene. What I can add is that our team from Kumasi got there on time. They had to find their way to the crash site, which was about over 800 feet above sea level. Basically a high ground. Together with once they got there, the medical team was also following up with everything that they needed just in case they were survivors. At the team site, our personnel did whatever they will do. It was getting very late. The place had been sealed off. And I'll not use the word cordon off because we didn't even know the extent to which the wreckage had dispersed. As I speak today, every day, the personnel on the ground keep expanding the search because we don't know exactly where all the wreckage, the bits and parts of the aircraft might be. Let me just run it up by saying that we had to do the recovery effort with the available and appropriate material we have on the ground. We had some body bags at the scene, but the remains were so heated that it was not conducive for the bags to be used. It was in a thick forest, it was getting late. We had the option of leaving our remains there till the following day, and we know what could have happened to the bodies. So the team that was up there assessing the situation decided to use available material they could lay hands on to start to descend the high ground. At the foot of the hill, they met the medical team, and with the body bags that they had, some of which have been also sent from Anglo Gold Ashanti, they kept our fallen heroes in those bags decently. They kept them in ambulances and sent them to Kumasi, where they were kept in coffins and draped in national colors, befitting their status as patriots of this country. Subsequently, we moved them to Accra, and you saw the kind of reception that was arranged for them back in Accra. Let me say that all these things were done hurriedly. So there might have been some mistakes. In the morning when the aircraft was taking off, nobody expected any such disaster. But from the crash to Accra, it's possible, likely, that some things might have been done that were not in conformity with our culture. But I must tell you that those who are on the ground assess the situation, and from where I stand, and looking back, I think that they did the best with the resources that they had at hand. I will continue to urge all of us to have patience. The investigations have started. We are about completing the preliminary investigations, and that is what will inform the kind of investigations that we need to undertake. As at this moment, we have retrieved and are keeping the anti-crash recorder. We are waiting on the experts, the manufacturers, and a decision will be taken as to how it will be decoded. If there are any further information that we get which is new from what has happened, we will let you know. But I want to say emphatically that recovering our patriots who lost their lives on that day from that high ground to Accra within 10 hours was something worth noting. With regards to the issue concerning the assaults that occasionally sometimes happen, we have almost about nearly 30,000 military personnel. So you can see that the infractions we are talking about are just very, 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 very little. But I can tell you that this is not what the Ghana Military High Command endorses. We don't. We don't endorse assault, not only on journalists, but also on civilians. And for any of all of these incidents, we do our possible best to investigate and get to the bottom of the matter. Probably what we haven't done is that to appease the culprits, we need to let you know, to appease the victims, we need to let the victims know what punishment has been meted out so that it can appease them. Probably that is not what we have done well. But on all those occasions, we do our possible best to investigate, including the recent one, which we are investigating.